Borrow Smart segment brought to you by rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com. So let's ask a couple of questions here to see where your thinking might be. If you're watching us on ronsingerradio.tv, any of the socials, the ABC News and Talk, AM 1490 video feeds, you can just go ahead and answer the questions right in the chat. If you're listening to us on radio, yell at the radio, we hear you. We know that. So, a large down payment will save me more money than a small down payment. True or false? And I'm not going to go and give you all of it right here, but I'm going to tell you. How about a 15-year mortgage will save me more money over time than a 30-year mortgage? What do you think on that one? Making an extra principal payment saves me money. What are your thoughts? Last question. The interest rate is the main factor determining the cost of my mortgage. True or false? Well, I'm going to tell you that the vast majority of people think about this in a interesting way, because what's the most important question that we hear? The top three things we always hear about when you're talking about real estate. What's the most important part? Have you ever heard somebody say location, location, location? Well, most people have. But I'm going to tell you something. Let's think a little differently here on Ron Singer Radio. How about location, location, location of your money? What do you think about that one? That's a little bit different. No one talks about that part of it. Location, location of your money. We talk about the location, location of the property. But what if you're making the payments the wrong way? 37% of American assets are real estate. 25% of Americans' wealth is inside their house. 27% of American debt is a high rate, not tax preferred. What does all that mean? Well, when you think about it, I hear so many people right now. I mean, we know that 70% of the folks with a mortgage have a mortgage rate below 4%. Yet I hear folks, and we go back to the questions that I posed earlier, when we look at those questions and we say about making an extra principal payment saves me money. Well, does it really? If you're going out there and you can borrow at 4, 3, 2.5, whatever it is, and it's tax advantaged on your house, and you're making an extra payment there, yet you've got a credit cards at 22.8%. Does that make any sense to you? Well, Ron, I want to get my house paid off. Well, if you quit paying so much interest, don't you think you could get your house paid off sooner? Do you think that would work? Now, a lot of people don't look at it that way. They just look at it, I want to get my house paid off. Well, let's think about borrow smart, repay smart. So think about some of those numbers. Now, the question here is, how might managing your liabilities help increase your assets? Managing liabilities increases assets? Well, we know that, right now about 52% of the people have all of their committed to their expenses. They've got committed expenses. They can't change them. They're not variable. That would be taxes. That would be your mortgage or your rent. That would be your insurance and auto payments, or, car payments and whatnot. So we know that that's 48%. 46% goes for your lifestyle today. That's discretionary. And 2% is going to your lifestyle tomorrow. What's that mean, lifestyle tomorrow? Well, lifestyle tomorrow is your retirement fund. So you're saying, okay, I'm going to save 2% of my income today for my lifestyle tomorrow. And why am I only saving that? Well, here's the issue. The reason you're saving 2% is because that's all that's left over. When you take that the 52 and the 46, well, all you've got left is 2%. Now, what happens if we go and look at your liabilities strategically? If we look at those liabilities strategically and say, what if we can cut down on the committed expenses by 4%? That would mean either doing a debt consolidation loan, We've talked about that many, many times on Ron Siegel Radio. And we've talked about that and how 3% is killing you. RSR3PCTloan.com, RSR3PCTloan.com. That 3% loan is killing you. Why? Because you haven't looked at what your total household debt service cost is. And that's called the blended household interest rate. We want to know what your blended household interest rate is, because if we can just save you on average $250 a month, we can end up taking and bringing those committed expenses down by 4%. What do we do with that? Well, if you're happy there at 46, we move those 4% down to your lifestyle tomorrow column. And that is a 300% gain on that lifestyle tomorrow, on your savings for tomorrow. So why are we not doing that? Why are we having to argue with people? Or why are we not getting through to people that the bottom line is we really want you to understand that the debt consolidation loan is really in your best interest. It's not because we lead a lending team and we want to do a loan. Yes, we do that. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. That's how we make money, is by doing loans. But I've told people, in fact, I just told somebody last week, you don't need a new loan. You've got the law is on your side because it happened to be an estate situation, and they thought they had to refinance the loan in order to keep it. I said, no, keep the exact loan you have. You're in perfect situation. So we're not doing it haphazardly. We do it strategically. That's why as a certified liability advisor, we're looking at, does it make sense to do a debt consolidation loan? Do you have enough equity in your property to do the debt consolidation loan? Could we possibly restructure everything and put you into our favorite loan, the Home Select, rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com. Why do I like that so much? We look at how much you can afford. If we pay off all of your other debts, use some of your household income on that, as far as your income to pay off those debts, you put the money into the Home Select program, and you've got a big time savings. Why? Well, I think I told you yesterday, I just ran a simulation over the weekend. The interest rate for the person went from 2.4% to 0.8% effective APR. 2.4 to 0.8 effective APR. He's going to take the 27 years that he has remaining on his loan and cut that down to 3.8. And oh, by the way, he's going to have an extra $100,000 of liquidity. So one of the things that we look at as a liability advisor is we're looking at safety, liquidity, and return. We want to understand the safety, the liquidity, and the return that you're going to get in real estate. Now, there's a couple of people that in areas that they never, ever get to the safety, liquidity, and return portion of the consultation, because your property and your investment, when you have no mortgage or a very low mortgage, is not nearly as safe as when you've got a high mortgage. Why would that be? Well, it's pretty simple, because in case of a default, banks are looking at how much equity they have. How much can they come after you for? In the case of a default, if you don't have a lot of equity in the property, if you've pulled that out and put it into safe, secure investments or CDs or treasuries, well, that makes it more safe for you. When you have a low balance on your mortgage, that's a safety benefit for the lender. Liquidity. Banks never lend money to people who need money. They lend money to people who want money. Big difference right there. So if you've got the Home Select, you're very, very liquid. If you've got a HELOC or a HELoan, very, very liquid. If you've got a mortgage at 75 or 80% of the value of the property, and you've taken that money out and put it into some of the safe, secure investments that are out there, you're liquid. And return. What is the return on investment of home equity? Zero. If you've got a $500,000 property in Southern California and it appreciates at 5%, and I know you're not going to find a lot of $500,000 properties, but they're going to appreciate more than 5%, most of them. They're going to appreciate $25,000 a year. Now, does it matter if you've got mortgage for 100% or if you've got no mortgage? No, 5% of the value of the property is still 5%. So if you can take the money out and put it into and I'm not giving any advice here, but put it into a safe, secure investment, maybe an index, an IUL, Index Universal Life Plan, that has protection on the downside, limits on the upside. Last 30 years averages about 8% return. Wow, think about that. Now you've taken money out of that property that had a 0 rate of return, and you're going to get an 8% rate of return. You're going to have an effective interest rate very low in a tax-advantaged environment, and you're going to have a rate of return on the investment that's high in a tax-advantaged environment, and you make more money. Just throw that out there for you. That's Borrow Smart, brought to you by rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com.